creators, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to do a real quick tutorial on how I made my own focal points and images for a couple of recent videos I did, and I had some requests for me to show how I made them. So let's get to it. First of all, I am starting in Canva, and I do have Canva Pro, but you could still do this with the free version. You just kind of have less options as far as images you can select and things of that nature. But let's get started. So firstly, I want to decide what shape I want for my focal point or my image, focal point, whatever I'm cutting out. And you could make it a circle, square. I mean, you can make it whatever shape you want. But I'm going to go with the arch that I made for some Christmas cards for the video I did. And I'll put a link in the description box to that video. So I'm going to start by going over to Elements, which is over here on the top left. And once I select Elements, let me show you. There you go. You have all these different options. So I'm going to go to Shapes, and then I'll browse. And you can see that here's the shape I recently used. But you can really browse through all these shapes and kind of tweak them how you want them. But I am going to go with this arch. And so I have it already on my canvas here. And when I started this, I started a new project. I created a new project and just made it 8.5 by 11. The theory in my brain behind it was I wanted to make it large enough so that when I download this, it downloads with high quality, because I will be importing this file over to my Cricut so that I can cut this out. I'm actually just going to make it pretty large here to fit on most of the page. Okay. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and change the color and just make it a real light gray, just so I can see what it looks like. Then I'm going to go and find an image. So I'm going back to Elements, and I'm going to do a search. So let's say I want to do Christmas again. So I'm going to type in Christmas. If I could spell it right. And then you'll see a lot of things come up. I'm going to go here to Graphics and choose something I think would look kind of cute on here. So why don't I go with maybe this reindeer, and then I'll adjust the size right here. I'm going to have him sitting right here. I could also add a Santa kind of peeking. He's peeking around the corner here. Yeah, I'm going to stick with simple. I'm just going to put our little reindeer here. And then you'll see here this pink line that comes vertically. That's showing me that my shape and my image are centered, at least centered horizontally. Then I'm going to look for a sentiment that I think would work. And again, I'm just looking through what came through when I put Christmas in the search. So maybe, how does this one look? That's kind of cute, right? So I'm going to put this one towards the top. And there we go. So I have that. Now I can change my background there to white. And actually, I don't even need that background layer. So I can delete that. And I'm going to get my two images here and group them. I'm going to make my little reindeer a little bigger first. And then shift them so they're aligned. Okay, and then I'm going to group them. And I can make them bigger because I'll be making the size tag I want once we get into Cricut. So from here, now that I have this how I want it, I'm going to go to Share over on the right, and I'm going to download, and I want this to be a PNG. Okay, so I'm leaving it as a PNG, and I'm putting here a transparent background because I don't want any background behind here. And then I'm going to download that. And once I have that downloaded, I'm going to go over to Cricut Design Space next. Okay, now I am in Cricut Design Space. And what I'm going to do here is go over to Upload, which is on the left here. And I'm going to upload image. And then I'm going to browse my computer and go grab that image that I downloaded from Canva. And you'll see it pops up here. And then what's funny is on the left side of your panel, you'll see some related content or images that you could use in Cricut. So you don't really have to start in Canva. You could start directly in Cricut and do this. But I wanted to show you in case you wanted to add images that weren't available in Cricut, or if you don't have subscription to Design Space, which you don't have to have. Okay, then I'm going to hit continue. And it looks good. I'm going to say apply and continue. And I'm just going to choose flat graphic because I just want this as a flat graphic. And then I can upload. Now, once my image is uploaded, I'm going to shrink it down. I'm going to drag it down here to the size I want. So I think this is where I had it sized at 2 by, it looks like it's about 2.6. I'm leaving it locked because if I unlock it and make it free, it's going to distort my image, which it's not terrible, but I don't want it distorted. So I'm going to undo that. So let's make this so you can see better. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to shapes on the left side, and I'm going to pick my arch for my shapes. Now, the one I chose, the shape I chose, is part of the free Design Space. You don't have to have the subscription. So I'm choosing this. It's an upside down arch. So I'm just going to add it, and I'm going to flip it. So at the top, you can flip horizontal or vertical. So I'm going to flip it vertical. So now my arch is on the top. And now this I'm going to size to 2 by 3. So I'm going to go 2, and it's at 3.02, which is okay, but I'm going to make it by 3 because my brain works like that. Okay, now that I have that done, I'm going to right click and send it backward, so it's going to be behind my image. And you can see here that my image is a little too big to fit on there. So I'm going to click back on that image and reduce it down just a bit. And then I have it here. Now, if I don't like the spacing here between the Merry Christmas, I can, the Christmas and the reindeer, I can go back in Canva and adjust that. But I'm just going to let it go for now because I want the Merry Christmas towards the top. Might stretch them out a little. There you go. And center it with my arch here. Now I'm going to make that arch white. And then I'm going to group the two images. I'm going to group it first. I don't know why, but it seems to work better when I group first and then I flatten. So those are grouped now. So see, it's one image. Then I'll flatten it because this is going to be a print then cut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Effects, and I'm going to do an offset. And here you can kind of play with the offset. You don't want these corner rounded because if you pay attention, the bottom corners get rounded. So I want it at the right angle. And then I'm going to put it at, let's see, 0.125, I think would work. and that'll be my matte layer. So this will allow me, for example, when I'm doing batch card making, I can print and cut as many as I need and then also cut the matte layer. So it doesn't really matter what color your matte layer shows on here because that one we're going to leave as SVG. So let me move my image over, and this should be basic cut. So we're going to change from print then cut to basic cut, because then this, let's say I want to make it my red, and you doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really matter what it shows up as in Design Space. That just helps me to remember what color cardstock I'm going to cut this out of. And then I can put my image back on there and see if I like the way it looks. Now, once I've got that done, I can go ahead and make this. So I click Make on the top right, and you'll see this file is a print then cut. And I usually only do print then cuts where I can fill a full page. So I think I can go up to 9 on this one. Yes, I can put 9 images on here and do print then cut. So once I've got my 9 there, I go over to the bottom, click on Continue, Send to Printer, and I always use the system dialog so I can make any corrections I need in the printer settings. So then I'll hit Print, and it has my correct printer I want to choose. But this is where I have to kind of go in and have it feed from my rear tray, because that's where I will put my cardstock. And then I can hit Print, and that will go to my printer. Alrighty friends, this is what my printed page looks like, and you'll see I have all 9 on here. And these corner marks here are the registration marks for my Cricut to read as I cut. And again, I'm not going to apologize for the shakiness of the camera because I'm actually just holding it in my hand as I am going to cut. And I'm going to set my base material as medium cardstock and leave the pressure at the default pressure. Actually, let me put more. I want to make sure it cuts on the first time. Once I've got that selected, so I've got my medium selected and my pressure, I can go ahead and press the flashing button on my Cricut. And I have a Cricut Maker. Now before I remove my cardstock, I'm just going to kind of lift it, make sure it did cut all the way through, and it did. So then I can just hit that flashing arrow button and get this out. Then you'll see in Design Space, it's gone on to my second layer, which is those matte layers. And here you can see they're ready to be cut. So what I am going to do, oops, let me hit cancel here because I want to change my material size. So I'm going to use 8.5 by 11 paper. So I make that selection, and Cricut Design Space will adjust where your images go. Then I can continue, and I can cut those out next. Now for this one, I am going to again use the medium cardstock, 80 pound, because I'm just using some cardstocks I have in my stash from Recollections. And I'll leave this cut at default. Okay, once that's all cut out, I can click on Done. And I am done with this design and cutting portion. So let me show you what they look like. Okay, so here are my completed images. So here's my little focal point that I can use on a Christmas card. And all I'm going to do is get my matte layer. And both of these were cut on my Cricut. Then I'm just going to add some liquid glue here and centers this as best I can on my matte layer. And voila, we have our own little focal point. Isn't that cute? So really quick and easy to do. You can design it however you'd like, whatever shape, size you want, as long as it fits on your mat for your Cricut. And I think it's just the quickest and easiest way to get multiple cards done. When you're doing batch card making, I know we all have the beautiful stamp sets and the wonderful dies, but if I'm going to make 100 cards, let's say, in one batch, to die cut this shape 100 times would take me forever, versus running it through my Cricut, and then I can get multiple ones done on each pass. Same thing with if I were to try and stamp and color something like this. Can you imagine how long that would take me for 100 cards? So this makes it really quick and easy. Not that I'm putting away my stamps and dies, I'll still use those, but for large batches of cards, I think I'm going to rely on this more than I have been, and I like the way it turned out. So I did this for a previous card making session for Christmas cards. This was the one I made. And then I also did it, and I did it a little bit bigger. You'll see the size is a little different. And I also did for Mother's Day cards. And I'll link to both of those videos so you can see what I made as my focal points. Let me know if you have any questions, if I forgot to mention something, because never fails, I forget to mention something. But I appreciate you. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. I'd be thrilled if you subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on any of my other social media platforms. As always, have a beautiful, safe, and creative day. Thanks for watching. Bye.